Welcome into the inaugural episode of The Plains Truth here. Jason Caldwell, Coach Dom Studzinkski with us, and I know we've been getting to know each other for a while. First time we had a chance to really sit down and talk. But at first, just talk about what it's been like for you, being at Auburn, being here now for the last 16, 17 months or so.
Yeah, family and I have enjoyed the transition. I've got a wife and we've got 3 little ones now. Just had our 3rd one a little over a month ago. So they've been great in the transition, being that she's she grew up in it.
Yes.
Father was a coach, so she knows it. She knows the dynamic of what it's like to be a coach's wife, and she's great. She's a rock at home, so it's huge to have that, so that I can come in here and make sure that we invest into these young men day in and day out.
Yeah. What has been your takeaway from Auburn being here? You're familiar with Auburn being at Ole Miss before, but being here, being now ingrained into Auburn, what's been kind of your takeaway so far?
Yeah, one of my first interactions. One of my first interactions early on is people were walking around the building as we were kind of christening it. I asked the simple question of, what do I need to know about Auburn? And I kept getting a common answer of, Auburn is a place that people like to see and people like to touch and feel. So that really let me know kind of about, the people of Auburn and those who love Auburn, what it's like to be an Auburn man or woman. So I just, as they were coming around, continued to ask questions like that just so I could get a greater feel, because I want to know what it's like to feel the tradition, what it's like to be a part of what is, again, an Auburn man or woman.
Yeah, you got to christen this building too, and how big was that hey, you got to, even though it was already, you had to have input in kind of how things set up working, and being the first ones in this building, what's it been like so far?
Yeah, it's great. Space is awesome. We love the space. It gives us the availability with, to have many tools in the toolbox to open it up and do a bunch of things inside this room right here. Also, with the conjunction of having the indoor right there and our practice field is right outside. It's huge. It's a great tool for us to go and transition back and forth. So
yeah, tell me, the connection with Hugh Freeze is obviously a big deal. You guys are together at Ole Miss, Liberty, now at Auburn. What is it about him that you said, hey, that's the guy that I'm enjoy working for and with, and how much is that bond between head coach and strength? How important is that?
Yeah, so when you're talking about within the staff having 2 pieces that have been together for as long as we have now, there's continuity in the message that's being delivered, continuity in our day in and day out, and just understanding what the schedule looks like and how we want to operate with our kids. So there's a lot of continuity there. I keep using that word, but it's true.
Yeah.
The great thing that I saw early on was with coaches, the family aspect. I wanted to know that, the faith aspect. It is great to have those 2 things inside of what I feel is an outstanding profession to affect 17 to 23-year-old young men, which is huge.
Yeah, you talked about affecting young men. You see these guys more than anybody. You and your staff see them more than anybody. That bond, how special is that you get to see these guys grow, mature, do those things much more than the coaches actually do? Yeah,
so you see them day in and day out. We see them at their lows. We see them at their highs. We get to celebrate with them. We get to pick them up when they get down in the ditch. It's great to be a part of that, because there's, not for everybody. Not everybody has a good structure outside of here, whether it be at home and or just around themselves. So just to provide some type of structure for them and to take them through, lessons in life. Again, pits and valleys. Let's make sure that we work through those so that at the end of this, when we get done with this game that we're afforded, which is football, that we've learned some life lessons that you can be, a better man overall.
Yeah, no, and those connections are strong. And people think about the coaching connection, but it's often the strength and conditioning coaching connection with players that goes on much further down the road. I know early on in my career, Kevin Yoxall was a guy that was here, and you still hear players talk about him, that connection with him. Larry Tunsil's a guy that you have a strong connection with. This guy went to Ole Miss in the NFL, and he's around here all the time because of the connection with you. How special is that too?
Yeah, I mean, we've built a bond, we've built a trust over time, and obviously it was, again, peaks and valleys. Obviously he's a talented individual. At the same time, he went through a valley and it came through injury, and we spent a lot of time together just reconstructing himself, rebuilding him, and through that it just forged a relationship of trust that now to the point where, 9 years in his NFL career, that he wants to continue to keep training and keep working on himself. So,
how did you determined this was going to be your profession? What got you into this?
Yeah, so I actually went to a small school up north. It's an NAIA school. It's where I play ball, and I was like 1,500 for the enrollment, something like that.
Yeah.
It's not very big. We had a class early on. It was a strength and conditioning class, and I had a professor who was also my advisor who said, hey, after sitting down with me, said, hey, I think I know what you want to do. I'm going to put you in an upper level class. You have none of the prereqs.
Yeah.
I had no AMP, I had no stats, I had nothing to set, no kines, nothing to set me up. So she put me in this class, and I get in there, and initially I'm swimming, but I saw that there was something to it, something that I really liked. Now, she dug into me. She knew that I loved being in the weight room. She knew that I loved to train. I loved to work on myself. I love the technical, tactical side of things. So she found out that, hey, this may be something. Well, it's oddly enough, the class I was in is about 12 individuals. 8 of the 12 have been in Division I strength and conditioning.
Wow.
So it's
from a tiny NAIA
from a
school.
tiny NAIA school. So she did a great job. She did a great job of taking care of us and finding out who we were as individuals to figure out what would be best for us going forward. So
how has your techniques, the things how have they morphed over time? Because everybody always does. How is it for you? How has it transitioned with every step along the way?
Evolution. So I tell people, especially in our profession, especially our assistants, like the day that we stop learning is the day that we need to be out of this profession. So early on, there's a lot of larger, grander, general pictures that you're looking at. You're just looking at, hey, exercise technique, or you're looking at what is physiological function that's going on. Whereas now you're trying to refine some of the things that you are doing and look at deeper dives of what's the true science, or for us, it's what research can we conduct to figure out how can we assess and better program for ourselves going forward.
Yeah.
So
I know you're involved in the recruiting process, all those things too. I know it's a much deeper dive, but in a short few minutes, how would you describe, hey, what a player gets when they come to Auburn in terms of strength and conditioning, what your foundation is?
So for us, we talk about the vision. We want to sell the vision of we're going to dig into you as an individual. This is a team-based sport where we need to figure out who you are as an individual. We need to make sure that we assess you going forward. We need to assess, obviously, your body. We need to assess how you function. We need to assess what your attributes are. And from there, how can we progress? What is the maximum allotment, or how can we push you genetically to your highest potential? So we talk about those things and how we assess those. How we're going to address it so that they can see, hey, here's a dive into the program, here's our 10,000 foot view of what it looks like when I come here, so that they have no questions. And it's not just addressing the individual, it's also addressing the family, because I want the family to feel comfortable too, knowing that, hey, like you said, we spend a lot of time with them.
Yes.
They're going to spend time with us. I want them to feel comfortable with the personality. I want them to feel comfortable with what they're about to do work-wise, so that there's no questions when we get into it.
Yeah, and then you get now ingrained in Auburn. You had a year, and now a year and a few months. How much progress have you seen from the program overall, team-wise, in a year? Because you always hear it go, they make the biggest step from year 1 to year 2, and people think that's just all they think about that from a football perspective. For you, it's a big step as well. Have you seen that growth as a program?
Yes, yeah. So I don't want to put it all out there right now, but we constantly evaluate and we're assessing. So from a number side, we're looking at it from there. And then the other part is you're looking at it from a cultural standpoint too, to see what type of progress you've made there and how can you assess that. So both of those things are being assessed and have been constantly assessed from semester to semester as individuals. Attrition happens. So as attrition happens and we progress into the next, season of life or season of our team, where we stand, so on and so forth. So.
Yep. So everything's feeling good, feeling positive, right?
Day by day.
Day by day. That's it.
Day.
That's it. Because it is a daily process.
Yes. Got to keep stacking days. The boys will hear that from me constantly. How's your day, Coach? Day by day. We are stacking days on top of days.
Yep. I guess last one. This the excitement that you feel as this program has continued to develop with Freeze coming in, kind of almost rebuilding things from scratch. What's the excitement level inside the building, knowing that it is day by day, but seeing how much improvement's been made already?
Yeah, we just make sure, I know myself, even when we make these progressive steps, as we're making positive steps forward, that we make sure that it is about the process. We make sure we keep our eye on that, our thought process on that going forward. Right? Yeah, so it's never about, hey, look, good job today, but guess what? Tomorrow's coming. we need to make sure that we keep our eye on tomorrow, because if you keep looking at today, you're going to miss tomorrow and the day after that, so on and so forth. So we just make sure that we stay grounded day in and day out, and we make sure that we keep making progress.
That's it. Coach Dom, we appreciate you joining us, and the first one of these. And folks, the guy that maybe you don't see on the sidelines calling a bunch of plays, but he's really important to this program.